Hi, my name is Tiago Duarte and welcome to another video tutorial here at Daily Beats. In today's video I'm going to talk about music theory and I'm going to explain the minor chord. And let's go ahead and load a piano so that we know what we are listening to. So let's go here to Instruments, Keyboards, close Grand. Okay, and before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe and activate the notification so that you know when we upload new videos. And if you have any question, just leave a comment below. Also, consider supporting our channel by buying one of our products at dailybeats.pt or becoming a premium or exclusive member, and you will have access to exclusive tutorials and the project files from these tutorials. So let's go ahead and start talking about music theory. So I already talked about what scales are, and scales are a group of notes that are predefined. So let's go ahead and open up the notebook 2 and let's bring it here, select this. So today we are going to talk about, let me set up this. Okay, so maybe I can, sorry for this part here, I want to put this all nice and neat. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the minor chord, so minor scale actually. And there are a lot of minor scales, and also there are a lot of major, not a lot, but there are some, at least 3 major scales and 6 major scales, at least here in the helper scale highlighting. As you can see, we have 3 major scales and 6 minor scales. So for this one I'm going to delete or disable the notes highlighting. And again, a scale is just a predefined set of notes that sound nicely together and give a certain vibe. So if you want a certain vibe to your beats or to your melodies, you want to use certain scales. So okay, so what we are going to do today is to talk about the sequence of the minor scale. And the sequence is pretty simple. So we have a whole step and then a half step, then 2 whole steps, and then a half step, and then 2 whole steps. Again, if you don't know what is the W, it's a whole step, and the H is a half step, and we will see what this is in detail right in a few minutes. So the first thing I'm going to do is to derive the minor scale based on this sequence. So let's go ahead and do the minor scale for, I don't know, let's start simple with C. And this scale here that we are using, this is the minor, and I will put curved brackets, it's natural. It's the minor natural scale, because we can have several variations of the minor scale, but this one here is the natural. So if you memorize this, you are okay. And with this sequence you can derive whatever minor natural scale you want based on the root note. So let's say you memorize what are the notes for the C, the set of notes for the C minor scale, but if you memorize this sequence you can derive for every bass note, which is the why I talk about this, and I think it's important. So let's go ahead. Now we will have a whole step, a half step, and let me copy this. Okay, and then we will have another whole step, and then 1 half step, and then another, and then 2 whole steps. So what I did was just take this one, put here, and go through the the sequence in a vertical way instead of being on a horizontal way. So let's go ahead now and see what this means. So if we start with C, which is the base note, so we can put here C, we have to go one whole step starting from C. So we start on C, this is a half step, which is C sharp, and then we have D, which is a whole step, so we put here D. Then for the next whole step we start always with the last key that we end up. So we start on C, we went a whole step to D, and now we will start on D and we go a half step further. So we have D, a half step would be D sharp. So let's go and write here D sharp. Again, we will start on D sharp and then we have to go up a whole step. So this would be a half step, and F, it's a whole step. So let's put here F. Again, we start with the last key, which is F, and now we have to go another whole step. So F, it's the base, the note where we are starting, and we want a whole step. So F sharp would be a half step, G sharp would be a whole step. And I'm sorry in advance if I say whole step instead of half step, because sometimes this can be a little bit tricky to say the correct words. So yeah, so now we go to G, and then we have to go to start again from G and go a half step, and a half step is go to Z sharp, so G sharp. And then a whole step, we start from G sharp and we go a whole step. So A will be a half step and A sharp would be a whole step. Again, we start with A sharp and then we have to go a whole step again. So A sharp, B would be a half step, and C, it's the whole step. And this concludes the scale. So we started at C and we end up at C. And if we go now here to compare our scale, so we go to scale highlighting, let's put on C natural, C minor, the root note is already C, let's go to minor natural, and now we can enable our note grid highlights. And as you can see, the notes, they all fit the correct, the light gray of the piano roll, which represent the notes that fit inside of this scale. So as you can see, this is very simple. And again, if you know this one here, if you know the basic notes or the notes for the C, the minor scale for C, of course you can select everything and then go down and go up and start changing the notes, and we can do that. So but now I want to do in a different way, so this is kind of an exercise if you want. So I went, okay, so I check what was the step here in the piano roll, and then I wrote the notes here. So what I'm going to do now is do for, I don't know, A sharp, and I want to delete this. Okay. And let's write everything again. Okay. So now I'm going to do from the paper, which is this fruity notebook, and I'm going to go from here to the piano roll. So we start with A sharp, and we have to go a whole step. So A sharp would be C, a whole step from A sharp. Then we go to C, and we have a half step, which be C sharp. We start again on C sharp, and we go a whole step. A whole step would be what? C sharp, D would be a half, so D sharp would be a whole step. Then we go to D sharp again. We start with D sharp, and then D sharp, we have E, and then we have F. Then we start again at F, and a half step from F would be F sharp. Then we start again on F sharp, and a whole step will be G sharp. And then we start on G sharp, and a whole step will be A sharp. And we can disable the note grid highlightings, and then we can translate these two notes. So we start on A sharp here, A sharp, C, and then we have C sharp, and then we have D sharp, and then we have F, and then we have F sharp, and then we have G sharp, and then we have A sharp again. I was just going through the last ones. You can go also with these ones, but I was moving through the last ones. Okay, so now if I bring this closer to the first one, and if I move the first one up, you see that the notes are the same because it's based on the same sequence. And this is why it's easier or it's nice to understand chords because and scales, because it's not a very hard subject to grasp. It's just you have to know the sequence, and you have to know the notes that fit that scale or that are a part of that scale, and then translate them in whichever root note you want, which is very simple. So now let's go ahead and enable note highlighting, and let's go again and select as a root note A sharp. And as you can see here, all the notes fit the light gray parts of the piano roll. And this is how you can create how you can create root minor scales. Also here, if we take a look, let me delete this. If we take a look to the other minor scales, we have, for instance, minor harmonic, and as you can see here, there are a couple of differences here. Instead of having a whole step, we have a whole step plus a half step, which is a 1.5 step. I think so. I don't know how to call this jump here from one to another one, which is 3 half steps or 1 whole step and 1 half step. So it's 1.5, I guess. And yeah, so we can also check out the other ones. So we have Hungarian, and this one, this goes up. Again, we have these 3 whole steps here, which might be nice. And we have the melodic one, like this. And let's see, we have also the natural, which was the one that we derived here. And then we have Napoleon, I think it's how you pronounce. And as you can see, it's just a shift of the mid notes, and some of the notes we can shift them or shift the sequence, and we get the different scales that we can use. And then we have pentatonic, which is one that I use a lot. And there are 2 keys that are not part of this minor scale, and yeah, this one here, the G sharp and D does not fit this C minor pentatonic scale. So as you can see, there are a lot of scales that you can create your own and call it whatever. And again, scales is just a predefined set of notes, a group of notes that are nice together, and you can use these tools here in the piano roll to help you, guide you on the more technical side of music theory. And these tools here in FL Studio help a lot to give a little bit of insight of the several scales that there is, at least here in FL Studio. And also it takes us a lot of work in trying to figure out what are the chords that represent a minor scale or a major scale. So you don't necessarily have to memorize this. It's nice if you do, but to make music you don't really need this. You just have to know that you have to, if you want to do in a major, minor or other scales, you can just go here, select them, and then add notes on the light gray areas of the piano roll, and this will help us. Of course, the more traditional musicians will be screaming at me saying that this is cheating, and in a way it is, but it's also allow guys like me and like you probably to make music and do stuff that we like. So I don't see it as cheating, I see it as evolution of how we can make music here on with these tools. And also that's why I encourage you to learn too. So if you know what you are talking about, you will be more confident on what you are saying, and you, even if you are if someone talks bad about what you are doing, you have the security that you know what you are doing, you understand why you are doing the stuff that you are doing, and yeah, there will always be people that know more than you and that know less than you. So that doesn't matter as long as you are doing what you like and what the music that you like, and what you do, it's like banging in your head. So that's what matters at the end of the day. So if you are doing what you like, if people like your music, who cares, right? That's my mentality. And okay, that might not be, how can I say, might not be very good for people who go to study this stuff and really learn about music theory. So we are not, how can I say, we are not taking jobs from these people, because we are in a different role. We are making music to sell it online, and if people like it, okay, and if people don't like it, it's okay too. So yeah, that's it. And again, if you want to learn more, and if you want to be a more musician, let's say, or if you want to learn more about music theory, which I recommend you do, you have to take the time and study. So I think that was my rant, and yeah, I think we can finish the video here. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learn more, a little bit more about music production, or music theory, sorry. I will start bringing a little bit more in-depth tutorials for the premium and exclusive section, because those you guys are paying, so you should have a little bit more content available for you. And I will start making more in-depth tutorials about music theory for the premium and exclusive members. And if you are new here to this channel, consider subscribe and activate the notifications so that you know when we upload new videos. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment below. Also, consider buying one of our products at dailybeats.pt, or become a premium or exclusive member, and you will have access to exclusive tutorials and also to the project's files from these tutorials. So I think this is it. My name is Tiago Duarte, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.